Whoa. What's up, guys? What's going on? Good morning on the West Coast. Good
And good
afternoon.
afternoon on the East Coast.
Yeah. So, what's up, guys? RJ Martinez here. We got D Baker and Jay D'Souza. What's up? What's going on?
What's going on?
Everyone that's hopping on, wherever you're hopping on from. Okay, there's YouTube and Facebook. Make sure you guys are have any questions. Most importantly, ask them. Okay, we want to help you guys. We're on a new topic this week. If you guys are unaware, we're going to be covering how to make money with Etsy for beginners, right? And this is more of like a general topic, right? So I think that's really cool. I know a lot of people are having success with Etsy, and congratulations to that. And then maybe there's some people that are struggling, right? And we're here to tune you up a little bit and hopefully kind of get some better understanding of what's going on, and you guys get a better idea of how to sell on Etsy, make money and stuff like that. Teresa's here.
Hey, Teresa.
Hi, Teresa.
It's here. Hello. Sue.
Sorry, I just had somebody asking where they would watch it, so I'm going to try and share it with them.
What's up, Sue?
Teresa said she is listening from her cell phone. Got to walk my dog.
That's one thing we haven't done since we moved is actually go for a walk with the dog. It's just been, he's got lots of yard to roam around, so it's kind of just doing laps of our place. Loving it.
Let me share this one time before we hop into this. Give it a few minutes too, guys. If you guys give this video a thumbs up, and like I said, any questions, please ask them and share this. Share it.
What we've got done here, so I did this training actually last Thursday for a different group. So some of you who are joining us from the Etsy group who missed it last week because you didn't get the notification email or something got messy. We're going to go over the same content on today's call. So what I just ask is in terms of the questions so that it's not really a challenge for us to figure out what you asked and have to scroll back through a bunch of comments in a bunch of different places. I'm just going to ask that you guys wait for the little sections because it is all broken down. So there is a question section for every little piece that we go over. So just hold on to your questions until you see the big screen that says questions, and then drop all your questions so that we don't miss anything, okay?
Yep. Teresa has some exciting news for you, Jay.
Oh, jealous.
I know, going fishing.
I just found my outdoors card, and it's good till the end of the year at least, so I just have to get the actual license. So saves me. I can just do that online, which is great.
There's Patty.
Hi, Patty.
And then Brian, he actually he's been messaging about Etsy. He wants to learn some stuff. So Brian, this is perfect for you. Hopefully you found your login information too, or whatever happened. You fixed that with your account. I know that he was having issues logging into his KDP and Merch by Amazon account. So hopefully you fix that too, by the way, man. Debbie, hello. What's going on?
Hey, Debbie.
After the Etsy challenge last year, I let my shop die down.
Slow down.
Oh no!
So I'm currently
you had some good traction too.
That's the thing. You can revive it. Just try wherever possible. I know it's sometimes hard because we're all kind of dealing with different things, right? Whether it's merch, it's KDP, it's Etsy, it's Shopify, whatever you're working on. The one thing with Etsy is you don't want to let it die too much all the time, right? Because that will start to affect your shop ranking. So just try to keep it consistent. Maybe even try to find a VA to help you if you can, or even a student or somebody who has lost their job right now and maybe was working as a barista. They're cheap too, right?
Yeah.
So
and even as simple worst case as I always recommend a little more, but even a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, upload a new listing or something. It's just about being consistent in your shop.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. There's a few people in here with some questions, there's a few people in here. So excited to learn again. I took the challenge, but need a refresher.
This will do it for you, Debbie.
I'm a beginner. How can I make money with Etsy by designing T-shirts? We're going to go over this right now. It's going to be hopefully gives you a better understanding. So if you have any questions, we want you to interact and ask. And like I said, to give this video a thumbs up. If you find any value from this at all, we're here to help. And yeah.
Sorry, when you see Nana doing this, it's because we moved the computer back so it could fit both of us and we could sit apart so that we're still technically social distancing, even though we're not exactly 6 feet. We're trying.
Yeah. We've been good though. We haven't left our respective houses.
It's true. We're isolating separately.
It's a nice
and not
thing.
Together.
Nice thing about being in the country though.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that.
Okay. All right. Well, we got some people on. We got
Sorry. What did you say?
We got some people on. We got 37 people on. So thank you guys for enjoying your. I was gonna say for enjoying your Thursday with us. So really appreciate that too as well. And hopefully you guys are off to a good start with your day. Really mean that. And let's get into this content.
All right. Share the screen, homie.
All right. This is where D puts her magic in. Pay attention. Pay attention to this.
All right.
Do you want 1 second? I'm sorry. Do you want us to get off the side of the screen, D, or are you okay?
Can everybody see that pretty clearly? Just like comment and let us know that you can see the words clearly. Because if you can, it's a little bit more fun if you can still see our faces. Make sure we're not picking our noses and stuff.
Picking my nose over here.
Yeah. Jay's cheating. Jay's cheating.
Yeah. How to handle shipping costs. Yeah, we'll go over that. Okay, so I'm assuming you guys can see the screen just fine. So I'm not going to bother to remove our faces, and then we'll just kind of like get into this content. Oops, that's the wrong thing.
So for those of us joining a little late, as Dee mentioned earlier, there will be sections where you'll see questions flash up on one of these slides, so you'll be able to drop a few questions in there. So just to save us from having to scroll back, we just ask that you hold off until then.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys can still see my screen, right? So before we start, we want this to be interactive. That means participation gets you entered to win a prize at the end. So stay tuned until the very end to get that prize, okay? 5 key things to plan before you start, cornerstones of success on Etsy. So basically, I always tell people that before you even get started on Etsy, you need to understand a few key points. These are the 5 key points, and I've linked out to them. So we're going to look at them really quickly, just so that we're not here for like 7 hours today, okay? So the first thing is Etsy seller policies, what you can and cannot do or sell. Another thing is how Etsy drives traffic to stores on their platform, what it costs to sell on Etsy, including your listing fees and the fees that they charge you for payment processing, how you'll stand out from competitors, and what key daily and weekly actions trigger favorable product and shop rankings in your shop. So real quick, I'm just going to click the button, and I think I might have to reshare. You guys will let me know if you cannot see this page, right? So, okay, so I can see that it's still on the other thing. So I'm going to say stop sharing. I'm just going to actually share the desktop, so you're going to have to drop this right in.
Okay.
This one. Okay, so share it. Yeah, see, now we're all weird. Okay, so I clicked the link, and here is the seller policy, right? So basically, this seller policy goes into everything that can and cannot be sold on Etsy, all of the things that you need to know as a basic starting place for what you intend to sell, how you intend to sell it, whether you're using production partners or not, how to ship it, how to communicate with your customers. All of that stuff is outlined in these like linked areas here. Now, if you don't want to use the links, you can scroll down and read all of the things. And in some of these sections, they will link it to other sections inside of Etsy that are important for you to read as well. So you want to make sure that you spend some time getting acquainted with this page even before you start an Etsy shop. It's super important because if you do something wrong, you are playing in somebody else's sandbox. Etsy is a marketplace. They own it. They just allow us to use it for a fee, which is the listing fees and the payment processing fees, right? So at any point, if they think that you're not following these rules, they can and will shut down your Etsy store. To prevent that from happening, make sure that you know what the rules of engagement are, which are outlined very clearly in like very easy terms. It's not like a legal document where you're trying to figure out what anything means on this page, okay? So that's first things first. Oops, I keep clicking this thing and it's the wrong thing. I keep meaning to click the thing right beside it. So I'll let Jay talk a little bit about how Etsy drives traffic to stores on their platform.
Yeah, sure. So they've got what they started working on last year, which was really cool, was a new way for the algorithm to take notes. So one way they're doing that, they started the Etsy offsite ads. The algorithm on their site now has it's kind of smart. So you, as you know, a shopper on there can go on there, and even now, depending on the time of day, you might get different results. So they're really trying to gear now more of like an Amazon shopper style algorithm that way, where they will gear things towards what they believe that you truly would be looking for, even at a particular time of day. And some of that is based on your past history, but a lot of it is based on your previous purchases and the time of day and everything else too. As far as the offsite ads go, it's kind of new now. You can either pay 12 or 15%. You can opt out if you make under a certain threshold of sales. But if you make over, I believe it was a 10 grand or 15 grand, you are automatically put into their offsite ads. So they've started basically using Google Shopping ads sort of thing but they're covering all the cost on the clicks, and you only pay if you actually make a conversion from that. So that's kind of really cool that they're doing that now, as opposed to us having to pay all the clicks. So there's a lot of people that think that it's a terrible thing because one particular, you might lose like a few dollars on one item if you order it. But if you look at the traffic that could potentially bring to your shop or across all your listings, it's huge to not have to pay for any of those clicks.
Absolutely.
I think also too, just getting a customer, right? Getting a new customer that's like a reoccurring customer that keeps coming back over and over and over. Long-term customer. I think that's really big too. Even if you pay, Etsy helps you get that customer, right? The most important thing. Even if you pay $1 or $2 and you have a customer that comes back repeatedly over and over, too, that's huge.
And that's the thing, right? So these are customers you wouldn't have otherwise gotten unless you were advertising on Google yourself.
Absolutely. And you have to actually know all about targeting and marketing and offers and things like that in order to actually run those ads on Google.
Let the platform who has millions of dollars allocated to these Google ad professionals do their thing, right? For free for you until you convert. So
absolutely. So the next thing is what it actually costs to sell on Etsy. So, oops, I'm in the wrong spot. So for my other thing, I did a training on this last week, and this is like the back end of the fake shop that I set up for that, which is why you're seeing it has no products. But there should be, I don't know why it clicked to there and not onto the pricing. Let me just double check this. Okay, because it's on sell. So I'm just going to actually open the browser and Google Etsy pricing. Etsy pricing. There you go. So right here, well, actually, that's not on Etsy, but this one. Right here in the house rules section, it goes over in detail the types of fees that you'll pay, what happens to you if you try to avoid paying those fees by like never paying your Etsy bill, how to pay the fees, how Etsy payments work, how taxes work, and how gift cards and credits work. So it's an important step to also just kind of note this link up here, or just Google it, just like what I did, and look for the link that's actually from Etsy specifically, because this goes over all of the costs that are associated with running an Etsy shop. And you'll notice, because Etsy is an American company, all of those costs are in US dollars. So obviously for all the Canadians who are joining us today, if you intend to sell on Etsy, you want to qualify that you're going to be paying all of your Etsy fees, your ad fees, all that kind of stuff in US dollars, and determine whether it makes sense because of that to actually charge US dollars for your products, even if you are a Canadian shop, okay? So that's just another resource for you guys to use. And you'll notice all of these things come directly from Etsy. Like what we're teaching you is right inside of the Etsy platform. You can find all of these links just by doing a quick Google, but we always teach direct from the source so that we know that you guys are getting the most up-to-date information and nothing's going to be confusing or unable to be found later, okay? So the next thing you're going to learn today is how to stand out from competitors, and then what key daily and weekly actions will trigger favorable product and shop rankings. So before we kind of jump into the rest of that content, here's our first question section. Are there questions that you have about what you're going to learn today? If so, drop them in now, and we will. I'm just going to stop the share for a second. We'll take a quick look to try and answer those.
Yeah, and on the point of the Etsy fees, so the nice thing about Etsy is, unlike a couple other platforms, is that there are no monthly fees. The initial startup fees are basically 20 cents per listing. So for every item you put up, it's 20 cents. And as a rule, their fees are 5% across the board for the item cost and shipping cost. But as a rule, you can basically take off about 9% or so, because there's a credit card fee on the other end too. Or PayPal processing fee. So about you lose about 9%, 9.5% at most for anything sub $50 list price.
Yeah. There's a okay. So, Rob, could you cover how you handle shipping costs? Kind of.
Yeah, we're going into that.
We'll get there.
Okay. So, questions related to what we just went over, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So that one by, it looks like NJA.
Yeah, I see that. You want to hit that one?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. This one, right?
Says, or he or she says, I have a question. That I did have an account before, but before I even list one month's ago, it shut down my store. No idea why. So can I open one more store? So right there, they're doing that for a lot of new shops, and they've been doing that since actually just before the fourth quarter. We saw that through the Etsy challenge too. Typically, it'll be shut for about a week without any kind of recourse. But if you email them, they will re-examine, and probably the fastest I've seen is have it back up in about 36 hours to 48 hours. So don't just go ahead and reopen another one, because there's you're at risk of just having that one shut. If you have no listings or anything like that, just email support, and it'll be pretty quick, probably, with opening that up.
Absolutely. So then somebody else had said something I saw that we should have. Oh, will this be recorded to watch again? So this basically, because this is on the Ready Aim Scale page, we just let these stay up. So even the ones that we did, over the last 4 weeks or so, you can find down the page a little bit. Those were all KDP specific. So this is Etsy specific. You can come back and watch this again, 50 times if you want afterwards, after it's done. So while it's live, obviously you can't watch it from before, but after it's done, the video will just live on our page for Ready Aim Scale.
Yeah. Also too, it just we'll set that up too, where we'll put a list of the video content that we're doing, so it'll be easier for everyone to access it. As far as the YouTube stuff over there, it's going to be up there over there on YouTube. Also too, there's links over there too as well. So if you guys are unaware of Ready Aim Scale, you guys can go ahead and hit the links. We have some free content for you guys to kind of get started. Sign up, that's free. But if you guys want to join us on the other side, there is you guys are going to pay $20 a month, and we kind of just do a lot of the stuff right here already. We started our monthly challenge for the month, marketing. Dee crushed that. She's doing that. It's doing really well right now, and we're kind of adding stuff to it. Day by day, we're dropping stuff, and kind of just been doing a consistent monthly mini challenge for everyone in there. And everyone's excited in there. Everyone's engaging. And we do have a lot of students with a lot of success in there. So that's pretty cool. So, yeah.
So then there's another one from Brian.
Mm-hmm. Is there a Etsy fee pricing calculator you can use? Yeah, there's a couple. So the quick and easy one is eRank. That's also a tool we'll end up talking about a little later. But if you go to eRank, it's a free tool. They have, it's across the top about 2/3 of the way over, drop-down menu. They've got it all there, so you can even factor in your ad fees.
Yeah, which is awesome, right?
Yeah.
Super, super cool. So I'm going to go back to sharing, because I think the next question was about advertising. Oh, no, she said she was only figuring in 8%. It's more of a comment.
Yeah, so the 9.5% I saw on that too was I factor in some of my ad spend, my Etsy ad spend. So, but yeah, you're right. It's about 8, more like 8.5 actually.
Okay, so Patty's question.
What was Patty's question?
It says question about advertising. Not clear on what happens when we pay for Etsy ads. How do we get Google Love?
You're not getting Google Love with Etsy ads. You can only pay out of your own pocket on purpose for ads that are within Etsy. Mm-hmm. So Etsy pays for your offsite ads.
Yeah.
your listings meet their criteria.
And then you only pay when something sells.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So shop setup, branding, and your profile. We're just kind of go over all of the things that you need to enter in order to start your business on Etsy or open for business. So that one screen that I showed you, which I think I might have actually closed down, but I could go back to. It's what the back end of Etsy looks like. So you're gonna want to fill out all of your key shop profile information, including like the creation of a logo, the creation of a banner, your shop announcement, shipping profiles, your about section. You're going to want to add in frequently asked questions and policies so that you're not having to repeat yourself on a regular basis and people can find that information clearly in your store. I'm going to show you what I mean by this. We're going to just drive the bus onto Etsy in a second so that you guys can have this solidify in your head. Also, what you want to do before you're actually opening is create your product listing information, which includes your product descriptions, your photos, turnaround times, figure out what you're going to use for titles, which are keywords, and your tags, which are also keywords, right? You're going to want to complete keyword research, right? It makes sense. Yeah. To determine the best titles and tags to use on each of the products that you intend to sell on Etsy. And then, of course, the last step to getting started is linking your banking information for payment and putting a credit card on file with Etsy for the payment of the Etsy fees. So just real quick, so that this can be a little clearer, I'm going to go back over here onto Etsy so that y'all can see Etsy's homepage, right? So I'm just in the fake store that I set up for the training that I did last Thursday. But you can see basically I had searched a couple things, so it's actually gone ahead and it started to readdress my the things it's showing me in the algorithm based on the things I searched for previously. So as part of that other training, I asked people what did they want to see me search for, and they typed in a bunch of comments to let me know. So I'm going to open that up to you guys. If you guys want to see one specific kind of shop or a specific item on Etsy, just drop a comment in there and we'll search for that, and then we'll kind of look at that in deeper detail as we go through. But for right now, just to kind of give you guys a level set on what I'm talking about when I say your shop and you have to fill out all of your shop profile information and stuff, this is what I'm talking about. So this area up here is considered your shop banner. And you see how this shop has very clearly defined products that are sold in this shop as part of that banner, right? They also have a logo here. They have their shop announcement right here. So all of the information that they feel like is super important that you should see above the fold. And when I say above the fold, I mean what appears on the page without you having to scroll is going to be right here. And then separately, here's the product information. Here's all the different kinds of products that this particular shop sells. You've got some bestseller badges because they've actually been doing well this shop, right? And then as I continue to scroll down the page, we're going to get into the reviews, which of course you'll get as time goes on. The shop updates that they've done. So this is how they've promoted their listings. And I apologize. My husband's just come in and gone back out, so my dog might be a little whiny for a second. But your updates here, they've used to promote, and then the about section. And so all of this kind of stuff is stuff that you guys need to be paying attention to and making sure you have content for before you even start. I'm just going to go get my dog.
And, this is critical stuff, like these all this stuff. It's twofold. Not only does it make your shop look good, but it also is trustworthy. So you go into like a shop bio, you're going to want to have something here that she unfortunately doesn't, but you want to have stuff here so people know that you are a real human, you're a real person. It creates that instant trustworthiness and a bit of social proof too once the reviews start coming in. So a little bit that way about your shop. Yeah.
In a way, like it's like the introduction, right? The first impression is everything, right? And
sure. So if you came into a shop and all you saw was this with no logo, no photo, at least use a photo of yourself if possible, so it actually looks like you're a real person. And yeah, I mean that's the kind of stuff that you have an opportunity here to resonate with your customer. First impressions are absolutely everything that way.
Yeah.
So The keynotes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, RJ. What?
No, I think at the homepage too, at the very beginning, guys, you guys see. I always talk about this all the time too, because it's like when you do a search, right? When you start doing searches and stuff like that, the Etsy homepage, you see that people are like the algorithm is showing you something, right? It's like telling maybe you like this, maybe you like this, and it's like it's telling you stuff. It's giving you free information. It's feeding you. When it comes to that, and you understand that, it's going to make your market research so much easier. And I've like this is how you get your first sale, guys. Like understanding what's going on, researching the market, and figuring out what the heck is going on, or researching your niche and seeing if there's a demand for your niche and stuff like that. Because the algorithm at Etsy is gonna be like, here you go, check this out, and then don't buy it. You might buy it. Sometimes you might buy it and make a mistake and buy it, but your goal is to figure out what the heck is going on in a specific niche for a certain search term or whatever it is. But yeah, that's Etsy helps you right there too, and gives you some ideas on the homepage. So
yeah, and that page of the things to cover about your bio and everything else, like the first impression, I can't believe how many people don't value that stuff. Like if you don't have the game plan to go, like that's what you need to know first, right? Before you can throw stuff out. So,
yeah. Gonti, he's like, what are the difference between Mama Lead between Mama Lead versus E-Rank? How are they used? And am I 16 minutes late? If you already covered it, I'll watch the replay. No, I think we're gonna hop into that in a little bit. So you're on time, Gonti. You're not 16 minutes late. I don't know that. So you're on time.
15 minutes on time.
Yeah. All right. You good, D?
Well, I'm trying to be.
People know what having pets are like.
Yeah, my husband's doing a dump run today because like the house we bought is a fixer-upper, so we've been in this constant renovation. So while he's inside trying to gather all the garbage, the dog's inside going, play with me, let me out. And I'm like, I can't do that. So yeah, so if there's questions about this part of the process, we've also got a question for here. So if you have questions about, how to get started on Etsy, how to set them up, drop them in and we'll answer those now. The other questions that are popping through, we will come back and try to answer after. I'm so sorry about my dog.
No, you're good. No, so yeah. Yeah, so if you guys have anything related to any questions related to Etsy at all about how to get started, or if you're struggling with something, one of the most important things is, I think, it's just the market research, right? It's like that's where the money comes in. That's where you figure out your niche and how to make money like online. I think it's very important. You can't just you can if you're willing to do it for fun, right? Just throw all kinds of stuff out there and figure out what sells. And like, okay, cool, this niche is selling. I'm gonna jump into this niche. Or if you know your niche already, you just dive in very, like Jay, like for example, what's your idea behind this? Like
So in the beginning, I had a general store, basically, threw a bunch of stuff up, and it sells. But for it to get the attention of the people that wanted specific things, I had to have a ton of listings up just to make that happen. So I've got like 12 or 13,000 sales in that shop now. Another shop I have, for example, that is very super niche, has 81 live items, and I've got over 14,000 sales in that one right now. So that's like the power of the niche, right? Is that when people are passionate about something and you can capture that, they not only will buy one shirt from you, they will buy 2 or 3 items from your shop and share online and become your brand ambassadors, that sort of thing. So both ways can work. If you want to test, the general store is great for that. See what you can get for traffic or anything like that. But for me, any other store I would open would be relatively niche.
No. And I remember reaching out to you probably about 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. And you showed me a few of your things, and I was like, oh, okay. Oh, looks cool. 61 listings, 100,000 sales. Cool. Just kidding. No, but you crush it. You have like a few listings up, and you're crushing it with a certain amount of sales. So it's like,
sure, yeah. I got 2 other shops that are pretty niched also, and they're going to catch up and pass my general store soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ganti's Marmalade and E-Rank, we will get into that. They're pretty much, they do the same kind of thing. I just find that, and you can rank your listings in it, and they'll give you an A, B, C, D, or E kind of ranking based on what they think, how good your listing is, what they think, how good, like what they think of your listing. But they're not equal. Like one-on-one might be an A, one might be a C, and I tend to lean the E-Rank on that.
Yeah.
Do they pay via Payoneer? You're going to have to email them to find out. I believe so. I am not sure. We're in Canada, and I know the bulk of viewers here are in the United States, so we don't really have to deal with that. We have direct integration with our banks or PayPal.
Yeah.
This
is a different. So to build a merch, this is a different topic, so we won't cover the.
No, we're talking
about a different one. You're talking about Etsy right now, so yeah. Message me on the side, and I'll get to you on that one. Brian, should you usually have your products in your banner image?
So this is largely subjective. It's a great place to have your branding, that sort of thing. But if you can do it well, like that shop we had up, and it looks great, then go for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as it's not tacky, right? If your product shots are great and they're selling like crazy, that you're doing something right. So there's no reason why you can't do that. I do have that on one of my shops, but then I overlay my business name on top of that. Are Etsy shoppers predominantly female? Yes, I forget the number on that, but I think it's something like 71%. Yes, so
they're ruling the world.
Yeah, that's the rule of the world. Like as a rule in e-commerce,
who run this mother?
Yeah, well, the ladies are the ones doing all the buying, even if it's for men. So make sure that if you're going to be targeting men with a certain niche, make sure that your listing will still appeal to the buyer of that item. So it has to have something that they think that they would love to buy for their significant other or son or father.
So question. So like you think your shop has to look pretty? Like it has to, like you have to make it look cute because women like, oh, it's cute.
It's gotta look good. It's an aesthetic, and that goes along with your branding and everything else, your product shop. Right?
Yeah, but that's the thing. Pretty is subjective too, right? So like what I would think is pretty versus what somebody who's like very into natural and nature and walks and hikes and stuff would think is pretty are two very different things, right? So it kind of comes down to knowing who you're creating your products for and knowing what they will find attractive in terms of the layout of your store, the branding, the photography you use, that sort of thing.
No. Also, too, just going back to that, I think it's with the women, right? They're buying gifts for men too, right? Their kids, or for men, for their husbands, boyfriend, or whatever it is. That they're shopping on there for them because the men don't know how to shop on Etsy. Some of them are like, I don't know how to shop on here. I'm not going to buy nothing from here. But then there's some that do, right?
Yeah. Oh, should we maybe start with niches that do well on other platforms such as Amazon, since we already have a base research on those niches? Absolutely. I mean, I don't see why not. If you already know a little bit more about that, it's better than going warm or even hot as opposed to going in ice cold.
Yeah, Brian. That's actually because then it's like a good feeling. So like a niche that's going to do really well, and then all of a sudden it sells. You're like, hell yeah, it did. It sold. You know what I mean?
How do I attract male shoppers? So two things here is you don't want to attract only male shoppers because women, like I said, do over 70% of the buying. So you definitely, if you're only going to target male shoppers, you're literally cutting yourself out down to about 30%.
Yeah, but there's a difference between attracting male shoppers and having a male themed store that Jay touched on earlier. Like you can have a store that's for men, like a general store, right? And naturally know that like those people's partners or friends or whatever females in their lives are probably going to be the people who shop at that store predominantly for those men. But for instance, like let's just make an example. So say, what's a guy thing that most guys do but girls don't do?
Fishing.
Well, girls like fishing too, but most guys. Let's say fishing. Hunting. That's probably a better one. Right. So say like you wanted to have a store that was dedicated to hunting because you're trying to attract a male audience, the male audience that is interested in hunting. naturally you're going to find that women like me, like if my husband's a big hunter, I'm going to go buy him stuff from that shop, right? So you don't want to be saying things that will turn me off as a buyer, even if my husband, like is into hunting. Like you don't want to be saying things that are, not female friendly or, that kind of thing. And also you want to still be hitting a certain aesthetic in terms of the layout and the organization of your store, like using those sections off to the side to break out your different kinds of items. Like if you're selling, mugs for the hunting camp, shirts for the hunting camp,
That's popular for everybody.
All the kind of stuff.
Not just men.
Yeah. Right. I hope that helps make it clearer.
Mm-hmm. Well, so here's Darren said, what is the best way to research in Etsy?
So we'll get into that a little bit later in the slides. Like we're going to talk about eRank a little bit and show you that stuff.
Just sharing your screen there.
It's research is just in general one of my favorite things to do. So it's fun.
So
entertaining.
We'll pop back into these slides just to make sure that like we're kind of keeping it somewhat similar or simple. So here we go. So basically the next step was like tips from top sellers. And part of this is keyword research, which we'll jump into. You see, am I in the wrong spot?
Yeah, and if you guys are just barely hopping on this video, give the video a thumbs up.
Yeah. So basically, the tips from top sellers, things that will help you stand out for the crowd. So beautiful product photography is what draws shoppers into your listings. So you want to invest in photos that showcase your products well. You want to use white backgrounds if you want to be included in the off-site ads that Etsy is going to spend money promoting. So like Google Shopping. No watermarks on your images. You'll notice that some shops put like their logo in a very like see-through way on top of their images. If you do that, you won't be included in the off-site ads. You want to price your products competitively at first and then maybe update your pricing strategy as you gain momentum. And the reason I say this for Etsy specifically and not necessarily for all the other platforms is there is a sea of competition on Etsy as it is. Etsy is paying for ads to bring people onto their platform that are primed and ready to shop, right? So if you're brand new and I'm looking at your listing over here versus somebody else's listing over here that might already have reviews, it's a 5-star shop, whatever, why am I going to buy from you who has 0 reviews and maybe like 30 items up, right? Traditionally, in the very beginning, you're probably going to compete on price. So if you can get those first initial sales, that will give you a ranking boost in terms of your Etsy shop. That will get more people, like them showing more people your products. But more importantly, it will help you to get a few initial reviews so that once you're looking at that scenario again, you've got maybe this shop with a 5-star rating and you with a 5-star rating. It kind of helps to level the playing field, okay? So then tip number 3 is create sections in your shop for a more convenient shopping experience, which we kind of went over when we showed you the spoon shop or the stamping shop. Researching trademarks to avoid being reported, because all reports contribute to dings against your shop that could result in Etsy shutting you down. So you want to make sure you're going on TESS, which is the electronic search system for the states, to make sure that you're not using trademarked phrases. Obviously, don't copy other people, not even pixel for pixel, not even a little bit, like steal like an artist, get an idea from somebody and remake it as your own thing. You want to be researching and brainstorming long tail keywords so that you can compete against existing sellers for keywords that they're not using. So what will happen a lot on Etsy is you'll have a shop that's had some success, and because they're busy fulfilling their orders and dealing with customer service and all of that kind of stuff, they're not necessarily going back into their listings on a consistent basis to update their tags and titles and keywords. And what's actually floating them at that point is the fact that they're kind of riding the coattails of their own success, right? So they've already got the customer base, people have favorited their store on Etsy, they're maybe using shop updates, maybe they have social media where they're actually driving traffic to their specific store. So they don't need to necessarily spend as much time really narrowing in on the keywords and the titles, essentially, and tags as a new shop would who's trying to come in and compete with them, right? So you want to make sure that you spend some time researching and brainstorming the words that you think people are going to type into the Etsy search bar to find your specific products, and come up with some new and innovative, like long tail keywords. So it's not just like funny t-shirt, it's maybe like the phrase that's on the shirt, or if it's a popular phrase, or, you know, if it's around a certain subject, it's the subject for that funny t-shirt, you know?
For sure. Like a lot of trends come and go like seasons. So to be able to go in, like there may be a new long tail keyword to describe a certain aesthetic or type of style of design.
Yeah.
Like originally it was called distressed look, but the average shopper now isn't typing in distressed as much. They might be typing in vintage, or something like that, right? So like staying abreast or on top of like the changing connotations for different type of styles is definitely going to help you stand out.
And updating every time you update one of your product listings, it counts as activity in your shop, and Etsy loves that. They love to see you active in your shop, so it will also help to give your shop a little bit of a boost, which is the next point, which is be active in your shop every day by replying to messages and updating your product listings, right? So just all the same stuff that we're talking about, you know, going in and changing those titles and tags, updating maybe something about your product description, listing a new product. All of that counts as activity, responding to your customers' messages, all of that kind of stuff will help to give you a little bump in terms of Etsy. So I wanted to show you guys real quick on step one here, the beautiful product photography. If I click and I open this link, there's resources directly on Etsy that will help you learn these things. So if you're like not a great photographer right now, sorry, my internet's really slow today. But if you're not a great photographer, there's like resources directly from Etsy. I'm just going to close a few other tabs and see if that helps it load faster. That are designed to kind of help you up your game, right? So I'm trying to get this one to load, but it doesn't want to be my friend today.
Add to that keyword, the long tail keyword. I think the longer, the longer the long tail keyword is, the more passionate the customer is, right? So if they're typing in like whatever they're searching for to buy that product, the longer it is, the more likely they are to convert, right? Like, so that's something to pay attention to when it comes to doing research and researching long tail keywords.
Delete that number section at the back at the end.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not loading, but it's a whole section of
in the seller handbook.
Yeah, it's in the seller handbook that goes into all of the details of how to actually.
Can you send that link to me?
I'll put the link in
the chat. I'll send it. I'll drop it in the chat.
Send the actual link for the good one with the numbers on it.
That other one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just drop it here. Sorry, guys. Let me edit the link. Copy this out. Copy, and I'll drop it in.
You can go to StreamYard and then drop it in the comments. Or can you do it?
I can drop it in the private chat. You can pick it up from there.
Thank you.
There you go. Chat.
All right, guys, I'm dropping it in the comments.
Basically, they have a whole bunch of these resources that are like, they spend a lot of time putting together to try and help you be the most successful that you can be, right? So a lot of new sellers just either don't know that these exist, or like just completely ignore them and just go marching in with what they think will work. But the whole point to these resources is to show you what Etsy wants you to do, because the more that you do what they want you to do, the better they're going to send traffic to your store, right? So then another key point on the photography is, if you're not super great at photography in general, you don't have budget to buy a new camera or get a setup to take your own photos, these three places like Creative Market, Etsy, and Place It are available to you with paid resources where you can put your designs right on the shirts. They're beautifully edited, beautifully like photographed, and traditionally true to color as well, right? So you just look up flat lay mockup on Creative Market or Etsy, and it will come up with specific brands and their mockups. And on Place It, you can actually place your design directly on models, right? So these are some key ways for you to kind of up your game without having to spend even like $200. Like, you could possibly spend probably under $50 and be able to use these resources effectively to showcase the products that you're trying to sell, right? So
yeah, and even like if you're shopping on Etsy, that example, you can drop that down to maybe $12, because some of the mock-ups, if you're going to be only carrying 3 or 4 colors, for example, you can buy for probably $3 a mock-up on a flat lay in Etsy. So there's really some good cost-effective ways to find product photography if you're not capable yourself.
So I'm just going to stop sharing because it seems like my internet's doing something wonky over here, RJ. Do you want to share eRank and just do like a quick example of how you would use it?
Boom, 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 boom. I haven't signed in eRank in a long time.
That's okay. All good, all good.
Let's see. Okay. Let me. All right.
So when we're talking about doing keyword research, RJ is just going to log in to eRank, which is like a free tool that you can use to do your keyword research. And we're just going to show you what it looks like so that you can understand, what you see when you're using it.
Yeah, let me see 1 second. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh wait, I'm seeing that ready aim scale thing. I'm not seeing your thing yet though. There we go.
All right. Cool. Good. Okay.
Yeah, so I just have to go here. So under tools, the second last one before the search bar, you'll see the profit calculator. If you scroll down there, you'll see the Etsy profit calculator somewhere. So that's a really easy way that we were talking about earlier. You can drop in your, your list price, your costs, your production fulfillment costs, ad costs, what you're spending on ads and that sort of thing. It'll drop you out.
So for example, right? Right, so this would be the price the customer pays, right, for the product. So for example, a shirt, right? And then the shipping price to say you charge free shipping or you charge $3.99, right? And all the other information right here you'll fill out. And then you just press offsite ad fees, listing fees. It's putting everything in here for you. And then let's see if it just does a calculation for you. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but make sure you guys, of course, you guys come in here and you fill out all this information. That fill out everything and then calculate and does it all for you. It's so simple.
Exactly. But then so there's the cool thing about eRank is there's a whole variety of different, I guess, tools underneath the same subset of tools. Hello. That's my husband banging around. Anyway, there's a whole variety of different tools, and then you can also just click the button and type in a long tail keyword and search it that way as well, for you to be able to see how that keyword's doing across the spectrum in terms of searches and different platforms. So if you type in something, you want to pick something, RJ, or let them pick something?
Let's see. Let's type in I don't know. What do you want to type in? Like a nurse shirt or something like that?
Sure.
Random keyword. Okay. Boom. And then, okay, so we typed in nurse shirt, right? Very general keyword. Marketplace, you can see right here. So with the marketplace, you got Etsy, Amazon, eBay, Pinterest, Google Shopping, and then it's giving you an Etsy summary of everything right here. Search trends, market trends, all this cool stuff. This is another thing too. I think people, when they hear about tools, it's like, oh yeah, it costs money, but you guys got to understand that it's making it easy for you to understand what's going on, right? In a certain niche, and it's putting all these analytics in front of you. Usually, you would have to have 5 to 10 different tabs open to look on Amazon, or in this situation, 5 different tabs, right? We're looking at Amazon, Etsy, Google Shopping, eBay, and Pinterest, right? But now with certain tools, it's giving all this information for you right in front of your face. So it makes it more easier for you to analyze and see what's going on. And I think that's one of the most coolest things when it comes to using certain tools, especially like with eRank. And there's a difference. They're asking what's the difference between like Mama Lead and I think I said that right, and eRank. And I think there's really no, like, it's all depends on your personal preference. I want to say at the end of the day, right? There's no wrong tool. No, that tool is not better than this tool. I want to say, but go ahead.
I used to agree with that, but Anthony is putting so much work over at eRank into this. Like, he's added all these other marketplaces now. It just keeps getting better and better.
That's what I think the major difference is now. Like, a couple of years ago, there didn't used to be a major difference because they were both Etsy specific tools. So all of a sudden, then eRank, I guess, knowing that Marmalade was coming for its bottom, decided, you know what, we're going to make this tool even cooler, even better, even faster, even more marketplaces, right? So I say to people, you can actually type in and you can use this tool to research for any marketplace that you're planning on selling your products. Like, it's not just Etsy specific. It's going to do all of that research from the different platforms. It's going to show you the search volumes and the metrics. It's going to show you all of these things. And then this one even does you one better, where it gives you like those little clouds to give you ideas for other long tail keywords, right? So it's like, realistically, I think overall right now, eRank is kind of edging out Marmalade a little bit if you're using this for research, not just on Etsy, but on and across other platforms where you're selling. But if you're just planning on doing Etsy solo, for sure you can buy Marmalade. The difference being you're going to pay, like they do have a free version and a paid version. You're going to pay for some of the cooler features in Marmalade, whereas eRank, like a lot of these features come rated in the box with the free one.
There's a lot of really cool options that you have for free before even subscribing or anything like that. So.
I think with eRank, they give you a lot of like free resources at the very beginning to help you start making money. And that's another thing too, just coming down here. For some reason, I thought I had the pro version. I'm not sure what happened, but this right here is solid, because now you can go into a sub niche, right? And that's very important with the keyword research. Like, my brain's going crazy right now because I'm just like, ER nurse shirt. Okay. Now, like nurse monogram shirt, like we're going more niche down, right? And ICU nurse shirt, like you guys see that right there is like kind of showing you, okay, now there's different, what'd you call it? Different, like it's a sub niche, right? In this niche.
Yeah.
And there's a lot you can like take in right here and do more research, right? Look at dog mom nurse shirt, like, dang.
Well, there's so many different things. So like when people say that the market's saturated or whatever else, like you'll hear people say this in groups all the time. And quite honestly, it's just not true. There are so many different categories that exist underneath one major niche, right? So RJ just typed into this example, nurse shirt. Well, how many different kinds of nurses are there? What else do nurses wear that they maybe clip onto their scrubs or whatever as a way of, expressing themselves a little bit? Right now with the masks that they're wearing on top of their personal protective equipment, right? Like there's ways to customize that kind of thing. Like there's so many different product opportunities across any niche. Like even if we're talking camping, there's campers that are like outback campers, like my husband, who will literally go out in the middle of the winter with a tarp and a backpack and like figure out how to camp without a tent. You know what I mean? And then there's campers that are like me, that are like glampers, where like, yeah, you're going to put me up on one of those beds that blows up with the pegs on it. I'm going to have like my cooler right beside the bed with like, it's going to look like it's like a little mini cottage on the inside of my tent, essentially, right? So obviously, when you're making products for him and you're making products for me, we're not going to like the same exact products, right? So you have to understand that like in these niches, there's always subsets and different categories that are underserved 100% of the time. Yeah. Nothing is ever saturated if you're willing to actually do the research, do the work, and then cater to the audience that exists there, that people are searching for items to spend money on that doesn't have enough products to support those needs.
And I completely agree with you right there. I think that it just a lot of people, they see stuff like this and they get intimidated. They're like, no, there's so much competition here. No, I think there's enough room for everyone. Okay. And I'll like there's niches where I show like personally myself, like when I do like the research, and I show it just on purpose because I want to test it. I want to see if people like follow it, and I'll show like my whole entire niche, and then it'll still consistently make sales every single damn day. And I was just curious because I see where people are coming from, and I see what they visualize. Like, okay, you showed this, right? You showed this niche. Now it's going to be oversaturated. And I'm just like, yeah, I showed it to 100 people, but like 10 people did it. 5 people did it.
Yeah.
But
I think that's just a cop out for people who don't want to do the work. Really. I mean, I'll be honest with that, right? Like, I never get threatened by competition or oversaturation of any kind. Like, it's not
because it's not really a thing. Like, at the end of the day, I look at it like this. Sure, the market is saturated with products, period. That's true of any market, period, right? Like, there's very few markets that you enter that there's one company that has a monopoly. Like in Canada, there's a few companies with a monopoly on internet or whatever. But you know what I mean? It's very rare that you enter a market as an online seller at our level that doesn't have a bunch of competition in it, period. Right. If you're looking for an easy target, of like no competition, you're in the wrong business if you're trying to sell things online, because they simply just don't exist. There's too many people in the world. There's too many people with great ideas, and there's too many people that have the skill set to bring those great ideas into products and put them out there in the world for other people to buy. So if you're afraid or intimidated by the competition, and you're going to use that as a way to like, be negative and complain and like not get started,
you're not selling.
Exactly. Yeah. Then you're not actually thinking with the brain of a marketer or the brain of an online seller. The online seller sees the competition and looks at it and goes, okay, so what's missing here? What can I do differently or better than what all these other people are doing? How can I come in and make a wave and get people to pay attention to me, right? And then they start putting together the products, the ideas, the marketing, whatever it is that they need in order to make that become a reality. So it's like, that's not to say, yeah, sure, saturation doesn't exist. It does exist, but obviously people are in this marketplace in saturated niches selling hundreds of items all the time. You know what I mean? So clearly if they can make it work, you can make it work too. They're not special flowers that have like magic cookies coming out of their butt that is helping them sell. You know what I mean? It's like realistically, they're just doing research. They're positioning their products accordingly. They're building their relationships with their potential customers or their target audience, and then they're crushing it from there.
No, for sure. It's pretty cool. No, but I did also too, like one of the most funnest things for me, I get excited about this all the time because I'm just like, dude, you can go into a niche, right? We just type in shirt, like nurse shirt, right? And then you just go in there and you're like for example, the dog mom nurse shirt. Like dog mom nurse shirt. I would never even thought about searching for that. Like I would never even thought about that. So I find that very interesting and like diving in deep in there to see what the heck's going on, right? And sometimes this is exactly how you find new niches with very little competition, right? And then maybe later on down the week or down the year, you'll see more competition in there. But by that time, you're going to have all these reviews, right? And you're going to, the goal is to be consistent, right? So consistency is key when it comes to this too as well, because later on down the line, when you have all these reviews and you have all kinds of new competition in, you're going to be ranking number one because you have all these reviews. And you're just consistent customer, like, you know what I mean? Messaging your customers when they have a question about something, and you're just going to rank. Yeah.
All right.
Are we good with this one right here?
We are. So,
okay.
Share. So this one?
You have to push a button, yeah. And then just pick.
Application window. There you are. Share. All right. Go ahead and share, buddy. You can see that?
Yep. You're good.
All right, cool. So now we're on to Etsy best practices for continued success and what you can do, to build your brand. So one thing I gotta say is that I'm seeing sometimes in the groups where people are saying, well, I'm not making any money. I'm not doing, there's no profit margins. It's along the lines of the oversaturation thing. But I'm looking at this as a long-term play. I want to, price low to be there forever, that sort of thing. I'm like, but you need to raise your prices to be profitable if you want to grow too, because there is a perception that value is added when something is a little bit higher than or out of reach, right?
Absolutely.
So people don't want to underpay for something that they think is supposed to be like exclusive or anything like that. So
Yeah, your price point definitely follows what people value things at. So like if I'm seeing the same shirt on one listing for $15 versus that exact same design on a different listing for $25, perceptively, I think the $25 shirt is better. Like you just do. And it happens right in the back of your head. You don't even think about it, right? You just think, oh, well, it's $25. It must be better. It's like a better quality shirt or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Well, good question. So what do you think with of a person just barely opening up their shop? Do you think they should run a sale?
Who's just opening up? Well, I don't think
they're just opening, brand new, no sales, and they run a sale on Etsy. A coupon.
Well, if you're just opening, you get, every new listing you put up gets a little bit of bump in the algorithm, and ideally you're not going to be dumping in, if you have a shop with 500 listings or something, you're not going to be dumping all 500 in a day or two. So the goal with that is to add slowly or steadily anyway, 3-4 listings a day until you get the hang of it. Then you can bump it up to 5 to 10, whatever you're comfortable with. But you don't need to run a sale until you've got at least a good chunk of listings up, because ultimately I advertise what sells. I don't advertise what doesn't sell. You want to use the listings that are getting the hits and that sort of thing and blast them and put them number one to get more hits and then bring more people to your shop. If you advertise listings that aren't selling, I mean, you just, it's a waste of time. So, so I don't think you need to run a sale until you've got identified sellers, right? Thank you. Or you got a few hundred products up and you got them up really quickly, then you're going to kind of dwindle in the algorithm if you're not staying active anymore. So that's where ads can come in and maybe help.
Cool. Thank you.
That helps. All right. So best practices. 1, follow the information in the Etsy Seller Handbook. So we kind of already touched on that with the product shots, that sort of thing. Always be honest with your customers and communicate delays early. Right now, perfect time for that. I mean, with the pandemic globally, set out your processing times, your shipping times. Unfortunately, shipping times, when stuff's left whatever production company or your hands, if you're shipping yourself, you really have no control over any of that anymore. So do your best to stay abreast of what the particular shipping companies have on their websites. Unfortunately, a lot of them, all they say is like, expect delays without any kind of hard numbers. That's also because they don't know. So however you can, there's a variation thing in Etsy too that I started using last year for Christmas. Last Q4 was, you can add variations, but you can make them customization options. So if you have a shirt that you would put somebody's name on, they could drop the name for a customization option. But what you can also do with that now is make the option mandatory, that they click that they've understood or fill out something and type yes or something or choose. But you can put in there that yes, I acknowledge that shipping will be X date and we can, or, can't guarantee by certain dates, that sort of thing. So you can set that expectation in a forced way that way too now, which is cool. And then 3 is know how to properly handle negative feedback. Think how you'll respond to a 1-star reviews, shipping questions, rush order questions, and delays in advance. One thing about responding to negative reviews, never do it immediately. Never do it emotionally. Leave emotion out of it. Try to be as, hand-holding or accommodating, caring as possible.
And professional. So a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that when they respond to a negative review, they're only responding to that one customer who left the negative review.
Everybody's looking at your reviews and they're going to go to the negative ones first. So make sure you handle yourself that way.
Exactly.
It's an opportunity to educate your customers. If it's something they just didn't read and it's not your fault, then you can at least say, for anyone out, looking at this, please refer to X, Y, or Z policies, information, what have you.
That can be a topic that we can go all day on because it's happening right now a lot, right? It's happening right now. And I think that you just take a breather, because I know how people respond to reviews, and I was talking to just take a breather, walk away, vent, go yell outside. No one's paying attention to you anyways. Just go yell outside, scream, cuss, whatever you have to do, then come back and be like, okay, answer it professionally.
Wait for the next day, sleep on it if you need to, Don't do it at the end of the day when you're, frustrated, tired, bored, whatever. Yeah. All right. So things to help you with long-term success. Number 4 is be active in your shop every day by replying to messages and updating your product listings. Touched on that a few times. Launch new products often. Millions of people shop on Etsy every day, so the best way to increase your sales is having new products to offer them, especially if you've built somewhat of a brand or you got a niche following, that sort of thing. You can train your customers. So if you list on Monday, Wednesdays, or Fridays, you can put that in your banner. Check back Monday, check back Wednesday, or check back Friday, whatever it is. And they'll come back looking for the next cool design that you have, especially if it's related to what they're passionate about. Number 6 is find ways to drive additional traffic to your store. Pinterest and Instagram strategies are key.
I swear to God, my dog's for sale.
Let's go. The next slide is questions.
All right, so yeah, we do. So Teresa.
All right.
I'm not sure if we answered that already. How do we figure out? How do I figure out my ad costs? That's not hey, but Jay. If I'm advertising on my listings in a store, Jay.
So if you go into what is it? Marketing, and then ads. You can go into. You can sort by ad spend, revenue, orders, budget. You can sort by that. It's actually in Etsy's back end, so you'll be able to see exactly how much you spent on certain ad for clicks and if you've gotten any conversions or sales or anything like that. Or if that makes sense. You can definitely see it on the marketing tab.
No, here's Ganti. No competition means no traffic, means no money. Not necessarily. Yeah, I see what you're saying. But you got to think about it this way, right? So let's say a restaurant, right? Let's say a restaurant in Los Angeles. Okay, they don't have people. They don't have no traffic at all. They don't have nobody. Let's put it this way. There's let's say in Los Angeles, you have a restaurant, right? And you're trying to make sales, but you need traffic, right? You need people walking in front, right? And they're walking in front and you're not capturing them because you have no advertisement. You have no attention. You got to bring the attention to yourself, right?
There's
go ahead. No, I think it's important because you got to understand that. Like if you can be on the most busiest street in Los Angeles, right? LA. And you're right there, but you you're not giving people a reason to come into your restaurant, right? You want to give them a reason. Like you need to give them a damn reason. Like this is the best taco shop in the world. You need to bring your ass over here. I'll make sure you're full and you do not leave. You know what I mean? You eat and you're satisfied. So
I think he's got, on that note, I think he's got 2 out of 3 here. No traffic absolutely means no money. The no competition thing, you could be creating a brand new product or service that nobody's ever seen before. On that end, just because you have no competition doesn't mean that you're going to have no traffic and no money. It just means you have to educate the public as to what your new product or service is. How does it work? Why is it cool? And why do they need to buy it today?
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions before we move on to
Patty?
Patty's saying, can you share what kind of and how much communication you have with your customers? Do you contact them at all? Do you ask for reviews? Any secrets getting more reviews? Any cautions about too much communications with customers? Thanks for sharing. Yeah, so I never reach out to my customers unless some impending doom is coming. You basically invite negativity or issues. And if you sell any kind of volume and you reach out to every single customer to ask, did you get your item? Are you happy? That sort of thing. You'll end up spending 8 hours a day just back and forth with your customers. In the beginning, it doesn't hurt to make sure that you're doing things right on your end by asking them. Anything to add?
But yeah, so in terms of this, I kind of look at this using a different strategy. So when I communicate with customers, I traditionally would do that via an email newsletter or something like that. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't necessarily be one-on-one sending people emails. Right. I would make sure that my thank you for your order is actually filled out in the back end of Etsy so that every single time somebody orders something, they get a coupon or something nice sent to them as a result of having ordered that. In order to kind of elicit reviews, sometimes in the past, what I used to do for my newsletter subscribers only is I would say, the top 5 reviews or new reviews will get added to win a free gift card or something to my shop. You're allowed to incentivize them outside of Etsy. You're not allowed to incentivize them on Etsy. So you cannot be sending people PMs directly on the Etsy platform saying, leave me a review and get $5 off your next shirt or something like that. But you can say all reviews are entered every single month, and one person who leaves a review gets a $25 gift card, because that's not incentivizing any one specific review, right? So those are the kinds of strategies that I use to communicate with the customers, and then using social media, right? But in terms of like direct communications, I only ever message people about their specific orders. If there's an issue with those orders, like a delay of some form, or like maybe, you know, the ink color they chose is no longer available or something like that. And that's pretty much it. And that, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise I just think it's tacky, man. Like, I would be peppered with emails.
I think I think you want to, in a way, it just, I don't know. I'm about this with everybody though. I think like in a way, if they reach out to you, just kind of like spark the conversation like a little bit, but like get to their point, of course. And then I don't know if there's a way you can like make them happy in some way, or just like tell them happy by just saying, hey, thank you for purchasing. Have an awesome day. See you soon, or something like that. I don't know, something in that nature, but just to make them happy, make them feel positive and about making the purchase on your shop I think is something really cool. As far as that. Yes. I think, I don't know. All right. So that's it right there.
For the questions?
Yeah. There's a few more right here about account. You want to hit that one?
Yeah. So let's go with the one under Ganti's. Ganti's got it right though. Don't be a D. Check or suppress your pride and ego. That's responding to the reviews for sure. And then right after that, Nabil says that after reviewing your Etsy account, you put that up there. Yeah, I can see that our trust and safety team has been in touch with you regarding your account suspension. We won't be able to restore your account over chat. So that right there means you did something wrong. You infringed on something. You had too many issues. Yeah. So this is, you alluded to before that it was like, you know, the same as the other person who was shut down without having anything up. This is different. But when trust and safety is involved, it means that you're violating your policy. So go back, rewatch this later, and go through all the things in the beginning and learn what you're allowed to sell and not sell.
But that's the specific point. So like, I'm kind of glad that this topic got brought up, because that was the point that I was trying to make in the very, very beginning when we started looking at the slides and I showed you guys the Etsy sellers policies, right? You are playing in somebody else's sandbox. You don't own Etsy when you own a store on Etsy, right? Therefore, if you do something that they don't like, they reserve the right to suspend your privileges and never allow you to have another Etsy store again. Things they don't like are very clearly spelled out inside of their policy pages and their handbook for sellers. So you need to spend some time really going through that book to make sure that anything that you intend to do is not going to be infringing or is not going to be like against what they're telling you to do on their platform. Otherwise, you lose the ability to use that platform. And it is a really powerful and robust platform for making sales. Like, so many of the people that I know with Etsy shops literally had them as a side hustle in the beginning, and then were able to stop doing their full-time thing and just have their full-time thing be Etsy, right? So that should tell you that there is money to be made there. There is a good strategy on how to do something similar to that if that's what your intention is. You don't want to work your full-time job anymore and you'd like to do this instead, but you have to play by their rules. That's as simple as it gets, like the end.
Yeah. So you said just open an account. Well, you're doing something that violated the trust and safety rules there. So you must have had whatever listings you had up did that. So please open more than one Etsy store. Yeah. Sorry to cut you off, RJ. Absolutely. However, in your bio, you must disclose each and every store in each and every store that you have. So if you have shop A, B, and C, in shop A, you have to disclose that you also have shop B and C. And in shop B, you have to disclose that you have shop A and C, and so forth.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So then we're just
the next
section of the slides here, which I guess.
And then also, too, guys, if you guys have any questions or we've been answering them, I'm gonna repeat this again. Is just let's get to ask the questions. We want you guys to be engaged. So we're hitting the last section of the slides. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So this is why Ready Aim Scale is great, because we've got between D and I over 15 years of
and
online
sales.
Easy, right? So I mean, I'm at 8 years myself, and you're probably past that. But,
Yeah.
What you're getting is the mistakes and pitfalls to avoid. So we've got almost 2 decades of mistakes.
Yeah, because I started my first online shop in like 2007, 2008.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
20 years.
You guys see that gray hair right here? That's.
I got no.
That's a mistake right there. That's a mistake right there. Go ahead.
But that's it, right? So we're trying to, put everything together for you so that you don't have to make the same mistakes and waste the first 3-4 years.
Yeah, I'm telling you, some of these mistakes are hard won. They're like badges of like, I don't know, something. I never got a prize, but I really wanted one. You know what I mean? But you had to learn the hard way, and it took a long time. It is a badge of honor. That's what it is. Yeah. And that's the thing. So key mistakes that we see sellers make on Etsy, especially with this first one, is especially with sellers that are coming off of other platforms like eBay or Amazon or whatever, uploading a bunch of products from a different platform and expecting great results. So yeah, you can, if your products are selling arguably on that other platform, they should also sell on Etsy. But the thing is, if you just dump your CSV or your product download from that platform into your Etsy store, you do nothing to change your tags and titles, you do nothing to organize that store, of course nothing's gonna sell, because you're not playing by Etsy's rules. You're not actually taking the time to understand how the algorithm works, what actions Etsy wants you to take as a seller, and then doing those things in a way that Etsy feels comfortable enough to show the people that they are actually spending money to attract to the website your listings, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to make sure that like you don't do that. Just spend even the smallest amount of effort to like create little shop sections, fill out your banner, do all the things that Etsy wants you to do, and you'll start to see way more success, right? Another one is being angry, combative, or rude in response to a negative 3-star or lower review, or even sometimes inside of DMs with customers. Because the thing is, I think folks forget that we're living in the social media world now. So if you're a jerk to one of your customers, even in a way that you think it's private because it's inside of the DMs, exactly. There's a fun little thing, they'll put it on a screenshot, and I'm not even kidding you when I say there are entire Facebook groups dedicated to bashing and like basically driving traffic away from shops who respond poorly. So don't find yourself being posted in one of those groups by giving them the ammunition, by being a jerk to somebody, even if they deserve it. You don't have to be right, just part ways. It's usually what, $50 total their order, maybe 25. Is it really worth the reputation of your shop? I don't think so, right? Getting too busy for customer service. So I see this a lot with shops that get all of a sudden super popular and then they're too busy to respond to customer messages. That's a huge mistake. At the end of the day, the customers want to know what's happening in the shop. So even if you were to do a blanket communication where like all of the orders that are late in your shop, you just went one by one, you copied and pasted the same message in over and over again, at least you are still doing the bare minimum for your customer service. You're letting your customers know they can come back, and if they have issues or questions or want to cancel or whatever, you're going to have to deal with that. But don't just expect that like, because you're all of a sudden hot stuff, that you can just be like, bye customers, I don't care, I'm not responding to you, because that's a great way to tank your shop. I've seen so many hugely high selling Etsy shops get shut down for just that, okay? Where like they're getting maybe 300, 400 orders a day sometimes. And because it's probably one person and one helper that's trying to work in that shop, they're overwhelmed. Instead of putting their shop on vacation or extending their processing times and communicating with their customers, they just continue doing the same old crap, not responding, trying to get their orders, they're underwater. And then all of a sudden Etsy says, you know what? You've got too many 1-star reviews. You've got too many open orders that are like well past their ship date. Bye. End of story, right? So you want to make sure that you're always communicating.
And on that note too, so a lot of the questions you get are like, will I get this by X day, or can I get this in this color, or in this, with a custom year or custom name? My response is, a generic high blah, blah, or whatever, or hi there even, if you want to be extra generic for the cut and paste purposes. But you can save all your responses that you use over and over in Etsy snippets. So you can literally just click, it'll populate, click send.
Exactly. So it's not even a whole bunch of work, honestly. The other thing is expecting results with little to no effort. Like that's, I don't know, that's like expecting to be like, have a gym body when you eat pizza every night 4 times a day.
Because you worked out once.
Yeah, and you go to the gym one time. Like it's like you have to put in the effort to get the results that you want, right? It's true. It's true. Arguing instead of refunding. This is another one I see sellers, like they will post these long ass conversations that they have with those one customer who ordered something for $5 and they're just so right. And they're going to argue with that person all day long. And I'm sitting there going, okay, so you spent 8 hours arguably going back and forth with this one person who bought a $5 or a $10 or a $15 product instead of just refunding them and then trying to figure out how to make back that $15. Like, it makes no sense. Don't be like that. Don't do that. Just refund them, move on, get new customers.
Spend that time with the other, replying to your other customers that you were tuning for.
Yeah, or reaching influencers or creating better marketing materials. Like there's so many arguably better ways to spend your time than arguing with somebody because you want to be stuck in being right. You just want to be right. Like get over it. Move on.
Focus your energy like on something like more positive stuff, right? And good things will happen. And I think also too, adding back to like when you get overwhelmed with so many messages and stuff like that, it's a good thing, right? But you got to take a step back and figure out what the heck you can do to perfect this and make it better, because you cannot leave a customer hanging for 4 days without answering their message. You got to understand.
Even if you do what RJ does, RJ has VAs that help him. You know what I mean? That's a smart idea. Right? Like,
but even with them too as well, guys, like I'm very positive with them and I show them love, right? And that's the most important thing, because like they don't want to work for me if I'm some type of asshole and mean to them all the time. Like, you need to do this, you need to do that. I have them, they've been working with me. One of them's been working with me for like 5 to 6 years now. And it's just because the way I am with him, and he ain't going nowhere. So that's the truth. So. Absolutely.
So then the other 2 things not to do, don't create a general store of too many different product types or styles. So don't create a store that's, got mom and me like matching sets across from the hunting shirts, across from, pizza lover shirts and whatever, and disorganize it and then just throw it all together hoping it's going to work, because it's not going to work. What you're going to want to do if you're going to create a general store and you want to have different product types or different product styles, make sure they're compatible, right? So like the mom and me, they love mugs, they love wine tumblers, they love totes. You don't have to just have shirts in your store, but make sure that all of the items in your store go back to that overarching principle or overarching niche of mommy and me, right? It just makes a lot of sense. And then the final thing is copying or tracing the artworks of others and using it as your own. This is a huge no-no. This will get you shut down very quickly. Like all it takes is, I think, even these days, even less than, it used to be like 3 dings on your shop and you were for sure shut down. Now I think it's even less, because Etsy just doesn't want to deal with like people who clearly aren't trying to use the platform for like earnest means, Yeah,
it's more so now that they're actually going into shops and looking at the potential risk versus reward on their end, because they're the ones that are going to end up with the lawsuits and that sort of thing, right? Even though you sign off on that sort of thing, and they don't want any part of that. They don't want to be known for housing or what do you call it?
For contributing to the problem, right?
Yeah,
or harboring fugitives.
Harboring, that's the word I was looking for.
Harboring design fugitives, people who steal other people's work. They don't want to be part of that whole scenario, right? So then obviously what to do instead, it's literally the opposite of all of those other things. So you want to upload, a maximum of 5, maybe 10 now products a day. You want to respond to negative reviews as though other people are going to read them. Set aside 1 to 2 hours a day for customer service. Work on your shop every day for at least 30 minutes and pick one product type or style and stick to it until you've got some success over there. And then you can add other things. But you're not Walmart. Don't try to be everything to everyone. Don't try to have every single product that you think is cool, because if you take the Walmart strategy, you think that you're talking to a bunch of different people when really you're talking to no one, because the whole purpose of your shop gets lost in translation. Okay. So then these are the final tips about how not to get shut down. I talk too much, so I'll let Jay go now.
Sure, yeah, it's all good. So never log in using public Wi-Fi. This is like a cardinal rule that people don't probably wouldn't think of. It's not that you can't use the public Wi-Fi. It's what other sellers have done on that public Wi-Fi. So if somebody violates the trust and safety by posting, some ripped off stuff or trademark violations, and then you go log in to that same coffee shop's Wi-Fi or whatever it is, then Etsy will associate your IP address, like that IP address, to your shop as well as the other person's shop. So you definitely, and then they'll think there's a connection there, and you don't want that at all. The other is never log in your store using someone's Wi-Fi who's had a store shut down in the past. C number 1, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The same thing there. So if you receive a trademark or copyright takedown notice, work with the IP owner to have it rescinded. This I can't stress enough, because a lot of times you'll go in, create something like I did once, and it got trademarked. Somebody stole my artwork, copyrighted it, and then sent me takedowns through Etsy. And I was like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah,
so,
on his own artwork.
Yeah, so I had to contact lawyers, get lawyers involved. In the end, they did rescind, but that was enough of a no-no in Etsy's eyes that they had my shop shut for 3 days and were threatening to never open it.
Yeah.
They basically thought that I was, continually violating. So if you can have it rescinded, Etsy understands that you've reached an agreement with whoever the IP owner is, whether you agree to never, list that item again, or you work out a deal with rights or royalties or something with them.
Yeah, basically it just flags it as it's no longer Etsy's problem, so they don't care anymore, right?
Settle any and all customer disputes promptly. Yeah, Etsy will have to mediate, and if they do, it looks like you're not doing your best to do that. So Etsy should never have to get involved above and beyond somebody opening a case or anything like that, or a dispute. Never lie about where your products are made or where your business is located. It's easy to be transparent with that. It asks you where your business is located. You can also
use where your products are shipping from.
Correct, your production partner if you're using them. But never say that your stuff is made in USA or Canada if it's made in China and you're trying to...
Or like Bangladesh.
Sure.
Let's not do that, right?
And the last one is, if you're experiencing delays in shipping, communicate with customers and put your shop on vacation mode until they're resolved. We've already kind of touched on it. We're seeing that happen a lot more now with COVID-19. Be as transparent as possible, even if it is putting something in there to say, expect delays. No, I can't give you a hard time, but expect 2-week delay, whatever you can do.
Yeah, so are there other questions based on that?
There's a few up here. Patty said, please don't mention the gray hair. Okay. And then Brian. What would you say is the main thing for those of us coming from Amazon need to know about starting it on Etsy?
So Etsy is not Amazon. That's the biggest one. The shoppers are different. They understand that things take time. They're primarily for artisanal type stuff. Boutique-y versus Walmart-y. People are prepared to pay more money, raise your prices if you can get away with it. And they're more understanding. They really are, as long as you're transparent in the beginning.
Yeah. And I think I would also just add a little point about, it's not a great strategy to dump your entire Amazon catalog onto your Etsy store. Like, because even inside of those catalogs, like some of the people who are on merch or something like that might have like 4 or 5 or 7,000 designs. And let's say like even 2,000 of those designs are what sell on a regular basis. But when they come over to Etsy, they're like, oh, let me just dump my whole catalog over here because maybe these other designs that don't sell on Amazon will magically sell on Etsy. It's not a great strategy. Like, what you want to do is you want to look at the designs that are selling really well for you over on Amazon, maybe start a niche store based on those designs in Etsy first, see how they do over there, grow that store, get used to kind of the customer interaction that you're not having when you're on a thing like Amazon merch. And then once you've got a good baseline of both of those things going, so your designs are selling on merch, they're also selling on Etsy, then consider maybe moving on to a platform like Shopify where you own the marketing. So you're going to learn how to drive that traffic to your own store to pay less fees and capitalize on more of that audience, right? So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah. Okay. So is Etsy taking into consideration delayed shipping times due to the health crisis? Printful's way behind. Will I get negative from this?
So Etsy is
I get a review from this.
Taking into consideration delayed shipping times. Overall, Etsy is taking into consideration that we're in a global pandemic. Sure, they removed the ODR rating so that people weren't freaking out about it, especially now. And they're not holding negative reviews to as high of a standard in terms of negative connotation for your shop during the crisis. That said, it is still in your power and your duty to, try to mitigate all those issues by being transparent with your customers. So Printful way behind, will I get a negative review from this? Nobody can know except that customer, but you won't get a negative in Etsy's eyes if you've been honest with your customer and say that Printful is at whatever ridiculous 6 weeks, 25 business days, something that they're at. So I don't know. I would never use a production company that would take that long, I guess.
I know, it's true. Yeah,
it's crazy. Next.
Teresa, can I report someone who copied my #1 selling shirt design and created a SVG to sell on their Etsy shop?
If you have copyright on that design, absolutely. If you do not, Etsy may take action if you can prove that you own the file. However, having that copyright registration number is going to be your biggest lifesaver.
Yeah.
You could try contacting a lawyer, but the lawyer is also going to want to show proof. But you can.
Yeah, you can report it. Like in some scenarios, I'll put it this way. If that's happened to you, there's a good chance that shop's done that to other people as well, and they already have had reports against them. So there's no harm in reporting it if you can prove, especially if you can prove either on Etsy or on merch when that design was first listed for you, without having that copyright registration. If you have, I know Etsy has a timestamp on when you first list a design or whatever. If it's well before when this new shop came over and started copying and then basically trying to sell your design as an SVG, a lot of the times Etsy will take it down because they understand that yours predates theirs, right?
That's dirty. That's really
people do it though all the time. I had one that actually literally I had my shop name on the shirt. So they literally, it was a phrase, and then right below that was my little logo or whatever. And they literally copied my exact picture, put it in their shop with my logo on it, and were trying to sell it to people saying that they had created this shirt. And then when I reported them, they were like, why do you report me? And I'm like, why would I not report you? That's my artwork, my phrase, my logo, my photo. Do some work. Don't just rip off other people,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Report them. I just hope that they find in your favor without, concrete evidence, I guess. But,
yeah. So Debbie said that good to know about the public Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought about the coffee shop Wi-Fi issue.
Yeah, so it's not to instill fear in anybody here. I mean, if you got a remote shop in a remote area, if I go somewhere, I mean, the odds of having another Etsy seller in there would be, maybe 50-50 shot, but the odds of them violating the terms and conditions are probably going to be pretty low, right? But it's just something to be aware about if you're in an urban area. There's people everywhere on free Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Patty, some of us have multiple PODs. Some are no longer. Do we remove them from our Etsy shop if we have used them in the past?
Yes, you do. Absolutely. So even if you've switched, okay, so say you went from Printful to Shirtly and now none of your products are fulfilled by Printful, just delete Printful and revoke the access from your shop in Printful's backend. If you decide later that you're going to go back to Printful because maybe they have neck gaiters or something that are going out and you want that and Shirtly doesn't have it, you can just always click one button to reinstate it. So it's kind of a no-brainer. Don't leave all those open PODs because with some of them, especially if they're smaller ones too, they're maybe not necessarily like the Shirtleys or the Printfuls of the world, if they do something stupid and they've got access to a bunch of different shops, right? So like maybe they're using people's logins to log in and see the orders or some crazy stuff like that. They're not using the official channels to do that. That can get your shop shut down too. So it just makes sense to keep the providers that you're using on a consistent basis active and delete anything else that you don't need.
So Debbie said, is it okay for us to use our personal hotspot in public places for Etsy? I think if it's your personal hotspot, it's yours, right? It's
as long as you don't have it open for like a bunch of people to sign on to, as long as you got a password set up on that, then yeah, you're fine. You're the only one.
Yeah. If they try to sign on to your personal hotspot and you let them do it, make sure you charge them $10 a month at least. So
whatever to cover, how much money you're going to lose if they open an Etsy shop and screw you over.
Yeah. $1 million.
Teresa, so I have Photoshop file with the date created. So she has a date on the actual the PNG file.
Yes, that would help. What I would do in that situation is like take your time, write a thorough email, screenshot everything. Don't be belligerent. And yeah, I mean, just try to, point form stuff. Doesn't have to be pages and pages because people will scan before they, even their legal department or whatever. Make clear, concise statements and screenshot whatever you have. If you can. Sure.
You want to send the email like you want help, right? You want to send it like you want help and you're not understanding what's going on right here.
Exactly.
Yeah. Why does this person have my design? I'm not sure what's going on right here. I create, you know what I mean? You want help. You want to kind of send it like you need help from Etsy. And what should you do here, right? And you're like trying to learn what you should do here and learn from this right here. Kind of send the email that way.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that we got pretty much to all the questions. You guys got a few more seconds or a few more minutes to ask questions. You get them in now, or if not, we're going to call it right there. We did answer a lot of questions, and I'm very excited that you guys are on here asking. That's pretty cool. So thank you guys again for taking the time out of your day to ask these questions. And we've been on here for an hour and 36 minutes, and Jay is still on. D, good job. Look at his face.
I have internet here.
Exactly.
It's like 30. That's like about 36 minutes. That's about 4 beers right there. Andre. Give or take on a good day.
Two tall boys anyway, probably.
That time of day. Your time.
Brian, where do we find more info on various print providers, reviews, how to set them up, etc.?
Well, Brian, I think you're part of Writing Scale. Just ask in the group. I'm sure there's like 1 million people, not 1 million people, but you know how many people are in the group that have used a bunch of different providers, right? And I feel like they can point you in the right direction in terms of like things that you're looking for. I know some people love Printful and some people hate Printful. I found that when I was using Printful, because I wasn't using them for t-shirts, I was using them for pillows and leggings specifically. I didn't have any of the issues that the t-shirt printer people had with Printful in terms of the delays or whatever. Now, that was obviously well before COVID-19, so like it might just be a widespread issue all the way across the board at Printful right now. I don't really know. But there's going to be people that have good insight on a variety of different providers, including some of the Canadian ones. Like there's one up here called Art of Wear that you can, and rated in Montreal. You can get fabric printed. You get some really cool designs. They also do leggings and kids leggings and stuff like that.
They do mugs too, and notebooks and that sort of thing. So a lot of really cool stuff.
There's going to be people who have had experience with all of those, and who will give you good reviews or their thoughts on them pretty candid.
No, Brian, I think a nice profile picture too, by the way. So you look like a family guy. Like I think that by looking at that profile picture, I understand like if you find a print provider that like has a product that no one else is actually selling, it's going to create less competition for yourself, right? Now, by looking at your profile picture, by me saying that you're a family guy, taking that extra step and like meeting someone new that can help you with this, if you can bring in the sales and generate the sales, you're creating less competition for yourself, and there's a way for you to make more money, right?
As far as the kind of picture you want is your profile picture on Etsy.
Yeah, man. No, for sure. I think that's something to think about, man. Yeah. There's so many different ways to make money out there, right, guys? And I think it just, even like if you find a print provider to make custom lamps or something like that, the lamp shadings, like D's background right there. If you can make like funny sayings on the lamp shades or something, right? Figure something else like that. Figure something else out.
Yeah, exactly. And if you can't find somebody specifically to make that, I mean, approach somebody. Maybe they will, right?
Yeah, like even smaller handmade makers in your local area. Like I know in my area here, there's a little store called the Vintage Junction. I'd never seen somebody make one of those lampshades before, like ever. Like I didn't know that you could make them. Like, I was like, and then I went into her store and I was like, she has some really cool lampshades in there. I was like, where do you get these? And she's like, I make them. And I was like, mind blown. I was like, how do you make these? And she was telling me about her little process or whatever, but she sells them in her store. And that's the thing, like there are tons of people often in your own backyard that are doing really cool things that would love the exposure and added ability to do those things for a wider audience of people. You just have to be so inclined as to going and finding them. So now obviously right now where things are closed, you don't want to be like going and like peeking in the windows of like the weird little shops or whatever. But I'm just saying, if you reach out in local Facebook groups even, to some of the people, the small business owners that you see post in those groups, because you want a specific kind of product that you're going to ship yourself, but they're going to help you in terms of making. Like it's a key way to get something that's innovative and different selling in a shop. You know what I mean? And it's good exposure for both.
Like even going back to the t-shirt thing, this is how I got a screen printer on board to do print on demand, like which is almost unheard of. I went in there and I was like, so I was using him for like business to business stuff. So like, you know, orders of 20 plus for teams, did a few orders with thousands of units for university, that sort of thing. I said, well, I sell on Etsy too. Would you be interested? And then there's the logistics of having one screen per design, but if you can get them to print 5 or 6 of those shirts every time, then you don't have to hold, you know, inventory, shelving full, and you get them rock bottom prices, right? So you can work. There's ways people want to sell more stuff, and if you can work it with them, that you can provide that avenue for them, and you're taking care, you know, 50-50 in the business almost that way, right? You're doing all the online stuff even, instead of just buying from them wholesale.
Exactly.
So there's all kinds of ways to work about it. I got a bunch more questions there. Jay kept his cool, He says more than an hour. What do I freak out after an hour?
Yeah, no, you don't freak out. It just, I think sometimes like this is a lot, and I think that's the thing. Sometimes it's easy for like it to seem like, oh, we're sitting here and we don't have other things to do, but we do this because we want you guys to learn. We want to see you be successful. So like I know sometimes like if Jay's moving, I know when he was moving, he had other calls that were coming in like after. And so he couldn't stay on longer because he had like a lawyer call that was coming in right after the thing or whatever. So I think that's where that's coming from.
Maybe.
Yeah. William, he said, I have my shirts on Pinterest in hopes of gouging what's popular. I get a bunch of saves, but not link clicks. Interesting.
Well, saves ideally mean that people will come back to it. So hopefully that works out.
I think it just over time, it's like, it's more of like long term, right? With Pinterest,
it's hard to put it right now because that person might be saving it until they go back to work and get a paycheck again, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. The saves are good too because anybody who finds those other people's boards or sees them, right, are going to see that they saved your stuff. So it's not bad.
Time does fly when you're having fun and learning. Patty says, is there a way to search to see if your design is out there on another platform who may be using your design without your knowledge? Can you search an image?
You can search
so that was the thing. One of the things that Dee was saying about the white background, you can, anything with like a white on black or black on white, you can invert the image to. You can do a reverse Google image search. But if your design is out there, try using your own keywords because they're
most of the time they've copied that too.
Yeah, 99% of the time they literally just ripped off everything. So
yeah, and that's the thing. And honestly, it will drive you crazy. Like I'll tell you a very quick story because like we are encroaching on like the 2 hours of being live, sitting on one spot, and I really have to pee. But I made all these designs for tattoo sleeves when I had my kids' apparel business, right? Like all different designs. I worked with illustrators to make them, whatever. No one else had them, okay? All of a sudden, I started to get popular. I had a big following on Instagram, a big following on Facebook. all these China shops start ripping off my designs, right? And so they're literally like selling them out to other people, making them in bigger sizes, whatever. So at first, the approach I took was, well, what's happening in China, I don't really care about. Like, I'm going to care when it crosses the border and I'm seeing it in my competitive shops. Then I will hit the IP infringement and prove that I have the rights to those designs and stop it. But eventually it became such a prolific problem, like that it was like every shop that I would shut down that came out of AliExpress or something like that, there would be like 2 days later, a new one would pop up. And then some of the sellers would be like, oh, well, I've seen these for years. Well, yeah, you've seen them for years because my shop was at that point open since 2009. So yeah, you have seen them for probably the better part of a decade. So like whatever, right? And so it was started to become such a time suck and such an energy suck in terms of like, and a financial suck when I was using lawyers to kind of write out all of these cease and desists and interact with some of these companies, that it eventually just became no longer worth my time, right? So you have to kind of mitigate for yourself when something's so important that like you need to really fight hard for it, and when something's no longer worth your time or your effort because it's contributing to like either a negative feeling that you're having about your shop, it's contributing to like taking too much of your time so that you don't have time to produce new things and innovate in your shop. Like you really have to find the balance there, because let's face it, small businesses, we aren't made of money. Like most of us are not making like $3 or $5 or $7 million off of our shops every single year. You know what I mean? So if it's going to cost you even like $100,000 to fight something through a lawyer, is it worth it? I don't know, right? Like maybe it's time to just let the copycats have their own life of their own and start something else that's more positive, that, you know, is harder for them to copy, and you know, you can rebuild it, because they can't do that, right?
I think we had this conversation too. Is like the copycats are always gonna continue to copycat no matter what, right? We had this. Yeah, they're always gonna be like 1 or 2 steps behind because they don't understand it. And once you understand it, that's where you make the real money, right? You understand the process, and it's easier for you because you're like, and it's very fulfilling too, because you're like, dude, I did this, I understood this, and then it worked. It's like, hell yeah, it worked. It's cool. So I'm gonna try it again. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh, it keeps working. God, I'm on fire. Snowball effect. Hell yeah, it's working. So they're always going to be like 1 or 2 steps behind. And also too, it's like, it all depends. You get to a point to where, are you going to waste your energy on that? Or it depends. Like, cause sometimes everyone's different. I believe sometimes I get into that. I'm like, damn it. That one design that I have some passion for that one design, and this person copied it. I'm going after their ass. You know what I mean? So
I think you pick and choose, right? Like you pick and choose. And in my case, it was like so many of my sleeve designs were being copied, and they were coming up so quickly that it was quickly becoming like a full-time job just to be sending out these shutdowns all the time. And I can either do that, or I can create new products and keep serving my customers and do my own marketing and whatever else. So it's like, you know, for each individual person, there's going to be a different choice that's made. And that doesn't necessarily mean like, I want to always say this, just because something's not right for you doesn't mean that it's not right. And I feel like there's a lot of people, especially small shop owners, who get into this mindset of like, things have to be the way that they do things or else it's wrong. And they want to bash other shop owners and whatever else. But just because I made that decision for me doesn't mean that like if Jay had the same problem in the exact same way, the decision that he made for him that was different from the decision that I made would be wrong. It's all about your individual experience. It's all about what you want to spend your time doing. And at the end of the day, this is your business. So it's up to you to make those choices. And who cares what other people think, really? At the end of the day, if your business is being used to feed your family or to like contribute to your lifestyle, and you've worked hard and you've poured like blood, sweat, research, time, tears into it, you make the choice for what's best for you, and don't let anybody else tell you anything different, period.
Yep. No, because I think that adding to that too, because then you get those people that think that they do deserve like a say in your life. I'm just like, what are you doing, dude? Like, stay in your lane, homie.
I had this one trick this one time. So it was like, I used to sew things, right? So I used to make little skirts, and my shop had been open way longer than hers had. and she'd come out and she started making these skirts in a similar pattern, but using kind of like different materials, like one specific category of materials that was available on the marketplace. Okay. So my pattern was like similar because it's like with pants. So like if you're going to sew a pair of leggings, for instance, there's only so many ways you sew a pair of leggings. Like nobody owns the copyright on the pattern for the leggings, right? But this shop owner came for me and then like tried to make it seem like I'm copying her, when the reality was like I've been selling that pattern forever. I had just chosen one specific material that wasn't even available in her shop, you know what I mean, to launch to my customers. And then she like added me to this group that was like just bashing everybody, and like she had some of her little friendly friends come in and like try to jump on. And I'm like, you know what? This is just such a waste of time. At the end of the day, this is what I have to say to anybody, even if you're making your own handmade products, okay? If you are buying your materials from any place that sells materials to any other individuals in the world, period, that you have not designed yourself, you don't own those materials. Right. You don't own what you make out of those materials. You don't own the copyright to them. Therefore, anybody, anywhere can make the exact same item that you're making using that exact same material and sell it for $10 less than you if they want. And there is literally nothing wrong with that. It is called business, okay? So if you're threatened by that to the point where like you literally want to drag somebody in a group and like you want to, I don't know, gang up and bully some people online because that makes you feel better about yourself, I actually feel sad for you as a human being, because I think that exposes more about you than it does about the person that you're trying to drag, right? At the end of the day, business is business. So if you have to pivot because somebody else is constantly copying your stuff and underselling you, you know, you have to pivot, but you will figure yourself out. You'll continue to innovate and do better things if you can actually just keep your focus where it should be, which is on your own lane, okay? Yeah. Look at your business, not what everybody else is doing. Like, you don't want to compare yourself where you're starting out to somebody else's middle or somebody else's like 3/4 of the way through. You don't want to be looking over there trying to get ideas or inspiration, as it's called. Come up with your own stuff. That's what gets you love. That's what gets you followers. That's what gets you a brand or like a brand following that is galvanized, that will show up to support you again and again and again. And I can't say that enough. So it's like, honestly, don't get into the bullshit of somebody else's mental problems, right? Like if that person legit, like in this case with the skirts, if that person legit thought that like she came up with her own pattern that has been in existence since like the 1950s, and that she had exclusive rights to certain materials just because she had made a couple items with those materials, like that's a mental problem that you are never going to solve no matter how many arguments you get into with that person. They clearly just don't understand what marketplace is and business is, right?
Yeah.
No, for sure. Paul has a question right up here. It says, question, in regards to IP address, what if you're using a VPN service for security purposes when in public? Could that get you shut down by Etsy?
You should be fine. And I am going to use the rationale, and I'm saying should because, I mean, depends on if you've left that open, you can still leave a VPN open. The rationale I'm going to use is when I worked for TD Bank in the data center, we could use public Wi-Fi as long as we were logged in on a VPN. So if it's safe for hundreds of millions of dollars, it's probably safe. But you could ask Etsy on that too. I mean, be as transparent as you can with them, and they'll reply in kind.
Yeah. All right. So going back and watch loving the content. So he's gonna go back and watch the replay a little bit later on. Gonti says, thank you guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. Also too, so Tiny Eye. So this is actually a good resource too to look up an image, right? To see what this image is up on other platforms or just on the internet in general, right? So you plug in, I think you plug in the PNG or whatever the image is, right? You plug in whatever the file is, and it will look up on the internet and see if it can find really similar designs to this, and then you just start going down that rabbit hole if you want to decide to do that. Okay. Learned a ton. Now to get to work. That actually right there is very important. Okay. If you're not getting to work, we can kind of tell in a way, right? Some people will be like, I can't do this, I can't do that. I was like,
or they ask you to do it for them. Like, how do I? You're like, wait a second.
Yeah, no, for sure. I was like, just like, you got to get to work. And that's one of the most important things. Like, you notice that when going back to when people are like bashing other people or they get other people in groups, those most of the time, those people are not getting to work, Brian. And you see people trying to bash other people. It's like, they're not doing the work
going on in their life, literally. Like to come in and bash is
or they're just miserable, lame people. Let's be honest. Like I can't even tell you one time that I went into a group like in recent memory to bash somebody. Like I don't know. Like I'm just a happy person, I guess. I'm like, oh, that person must be like sucking because they need to copy my stuff. I'm just gonna, issue the takedown and move on with my day because I have like a list of other things that I need to do that day, right? And even when people are snarky towards me, like a lot of the time, I don't respond in kind. Like my husband gets on me for this all the time because he's like, oh, when people are rude to you, you should be rude back. And most of the time, unless it's like a racial slur or something like really ridiculous, I'm just kind because I'm like, that person is clearly having a crappy life because like, your go-to natural state as a human being is not aggressive, rude, mean, combative, whatever. It's just not. Like human beings are social creatures. We like to be around other people. We like to have good feelings and connect with other people. So, I'm not trying to add to anybody else's misery by like being rude back to them necessarily.
So Vince says, how do you guys differentiate selling printables on Etsy? So if you're talking about printables in terms of a digital download, you can actually, there's a toggle switch. You can have specific downloads.
And I think that'd be another topic.
Like we have 2 more minutes before we're been on here for 2 hours.
So we're gonna get to the few more questions and we're gonna go ahead and call it right there.
So roughly says, sounds like a whole lot of work. I just want to hit that one. Sounds like a whole lot of work compared to PLD, Rebel, T-Bubble, and so on. Seems like so much more work for the gains. Okay, so you shouldn't be torn. You should know if you want to put in work and make a lot more money, or upload all your designs and make money letting something ride, but in lower increments. Like I pay a mortgage and paid off a house with Etsy, but I'll never be able to do that with TeePublic and Redbubble, even though I'm on them. You know what I mean? So it's what you want out of it is what you're going to put into it, and what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. Unless you put up 10,000 listings on Redbubble and hope something sticks, then it's a lot easier, in my opinion, to build a brand. But
for sure, that
many ways to win, right?
Yeah, so a whole lot of work compared to that right there. That first sentence, you just answered your question, because there's a whole lot of work. A lot of people think the same way and they're not going to do it. So there's your opportunity to capitalize on that for sure.
Yeah.
Sue, thank you. Patty, thank you. There got a few people in here saying thank you.
Love you too.
Teresa, good luck charms.
We try.
All right. Okay. All right, guys. I think we're good right there. Also too, like I said, I'm going to drop the links in here too as well. Let me go back over here. We have some like a free little mini course for you guys too. If you guys haven't did that, that one's free. Just put in, get a free account, fill it out, and you get there's some free stuff in the back there, from Etsy to KDP to Merch by Amazon. A lot of good stuff.
I said that they were going to win a prize and I almost forgot. So everybody who's still on, I'm going to pick a number. I'm going to send it to RJ, and it's going to be between 1 and 50. I'm going to send it right now. Don't start guessing yet. So I number between 1 and 50. So start typing in the comments to try and guess a number between 1 and 50. You can guess multiple times, and then you're just going to win a strategy session with me, a quick one. Yeah. Hour-long strategy session with me. So go.
So yeah. 22, 42, 21.
Keep going.
33, 13, 26, 32, 24. Oh, God.
Keep going.
Oh, no.
There it is.
Marvin.
Woohoo!
Marvin got it.
Got
30, 37.
So Marvin, you reach out on the Ready Aim Scale Facebook page. Just like send me a DM over there. Slide into, but don't be like a weirdo. But slide in. I'll set that up for you.
Yeah, no, for sure. So that's going to do it right there. If you guys have any questions, please reach out to us. Like I said before, wherever you're watching this video at, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you guys haven't joined Ready Game Scale, go ahead and I would join that too as well. We have a lot of good stuff back there. New mini challenge for the month that's up. And that's going to do it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.